I'm going to show you a few things, a series of basically three videos, three quick demos. The first is we're going to hit a use case where we're going to address part numbering and how to do that in an enterprise. The second is releasing of an assembly and having it go from SolidWorks PDM Professional to Propel automatically. And the third is to release file renditions or STEP or IGES or Office Docs and other things that get added after the fact, being able to push those to Propel to keep that up to date. So keep in mind here that for the first use case, this is a challenge everybody has. This is a common challenge, right? We're getting into enterprise integration. Now it's multiple systems dealing with product data. And of course, one of them has to be the system of truth for part numbering. And in our use case here, Propel is going to be that system. So Propel is going to own the part numbers, but we still need those early in the design phase. We need to assign them early to maintain fidelity, to make sure that our items are identified properly and make it easier to link early in design. So without having to pre-assign part number blocks and send somebody an email requesting part numbers for how many part numbers do I think I'm going to need, we get rid of all of that and leverage the integration to deliver part numbers as we need them. So go ahead and this is a real quick video, so I'll try and talk to it. I think we go through and assign part numbers twice here, so you get to see it twice. So in PDM Professional, we do have our control panel here, and you can see that we've created a Propel part number field and a Propel category field. Keep in mind that these could be existing fields, but we went ahead and used new variables for the demonstration. So because we know this is an assembly, we can simply right click and ask for a part number and refresh. And what happened there was that what happens is CLOVER goes, a message from the task add-in goes out to CLOVER. CLOVER by proxy goes and gets the appropriate part number and assigns it to the item. And with a refresh there, you can see it shows up. So very easy to assign different items. And then the last thing here is that we just set a default configuration that we're going to use in the next video. So very basic, straightforward part numbering. The structure of that is simply a task add-in that lets the CLOVER integration platform know it needs a part number, and CLOVER returns that in real time and assigns it to whatever variable is configured in the CLOVER settings in PDM Professional. Next one. So this is a little longer. It's a couple minutes long, maybe 3. But we're going to actually do a release to Propel. We're going to release an assembly. And it's important to understand a couple things for this one. First is that we know it's a little different than point-to-point integration. We know that we need to get new part introduction, new assemblies, all those kinds of things into PLM from PDM at a certain point in time. When we do this release, again, it's a simple SolidWorks add-in that triggers the event, but that trigger sends a message to the CLOVER platform that then handles all of the processing. So whether it's a 5-item bill of material or a 5,000-item bill of material, CLOVER can handle the different sizes of loads and manage all of the business rules associated with getting all the files, all the data, and loading them into Design Hub. This is important because I think it was mentioned a couple times, but maintaining that BOM structure and revision integrity across systems as you get into multiple systems is critical, right? And those as your teams grow, you need to keep that collaboration happening, and you need to make sure absolutely that the fidelity of the data is maintained for compliance, to make sure that people have the right things at the right time. Go ahead and run this video. We'll talk through what's happening a little bit. Okay, so we're going to start in PDM Professional with our control panel assembly. It's been approved and it's ready for release. It could be a pre-approval, or pre-release process, or it could be a production release process, whatever it is. You have the ability to designate that as part of your different workflows. You can see on the BOM, the part numbers have been assigned. You saw how to do that in the last video. And very simply here, we're going to go ahead and change state. So we've created a workflow in PDM Pro, or workflow branch in this case, that just takes the assembly and sends a message through Clover that the assembly is ready to process. Note the sending to Propel state there. So it's put in an interim state. In the background, when Clover receives that message, it executes a job, and that job has a bunch of steps that goes through and does all the heavy lifting, right? All the authentication and validation of data and handling of errors and getting the computed BOM and structuring payloads. Clover does all that. So you don't have that load on the PDM system, nor do you have it on Propel. Clover can handle all of that. If we take that and the job processes, we can see an import session was created into in Propel Design Hub, and we can go look at that, and we can see that as part of that import session, we've got all of the files and the data. It exposes the data mappings between the payload data and what's in Design Hub, along with all the attachments and all of the structure as well. So you see here, 188 was the top level assembly for the control panel, and then there's a couple parts in a sub assembly. Note here, see the updated deleted. So this was a second release. This was a revision, and you can see that it's doing the redlining appropriately. So it removed a sub assembly and put a different sub assembly in. So with all that, you maintain the fidelity. You have all the data tracked across all the systems. If I go look at the top level assembly as an item, you can see it in that view as well. The item was either created or updated, and all of the children are there, along with their current state of pending. Last thing to note here is that Clover went back in and took that control panel out of the sending to Propel state and put it back into an approved state once it was confirmed that the staging in Propel's Design Hub import session was complete. So we're able to automate those kinds of things as well. We had a workflow branch here. You could tie that into an existing workflow. So I think the whole setup on the PDM Professional side is, I think, even using things that we wouldn't normally use. We might be able to tie into existing attributes and variables. I think we added 3 variables, 3 add-ins, and 1 workflow state with 2 transitions. So that's all the setup that's required on PDM Professional. It's not a heavy lift. Clover does most of the work. Okay, so our use case 3 here is a pretty simple one, but kind of an important one. When we were talking about step and IGES files earlier, when you start to collaborate outside of your PDM environment, you start to find out people have other pieces of software and need other renditions. So we felt it's pretty common that we're going to want to send an updated step or IGES file or something like that individually and not have to go through a workflow release process. So you're going to see here, and I'll mention too, for some reason, PDM Pro seems to get a lot of documents, and whether those are specifications that are written by the designers or other types of renditions, visualizations, those kinds of things. A lot of it kind of becomes a document management system as well. So we want to make sure that you could pass along and relate those items to their part and assembly parents, if you will, just to maintain that fidelity of design across the entire digital thread. Make sure that there's traceability and those kinds of things. There's nothing worse than sending emails of different renditions throughout the life cycle, only to have somebody send the wrong file to a vendor for a bid, for example. So we're hoping this automates it and smooths things out. Go ahead and we'll go through the demo. Please don't laugh at my SolidWorks skills. I actually did this one. So starting here in Propel, we can see that we've got in our import session, we have the speaker. By the way, it's past the PNG, the thumbnail, and the SolidWorks part file. You can configure it to pass any type of file. It is configured to pass step and IGES, and I wanted to pass, I think we did the IGES here. I wanted to pass the IGES file. So back into SolidWorks, open it up, and we'll create the IGES file, and then push it over. All of the variations of how you can do things are completely configurable just inside a configuration file, which is stored in the PDM Pro Vault. So there's no real magic. It's very out of the box type of implementation, and easy and quick to implement. So once we've created our IGES here, doing some cleanup, checking in the file, and going back to the vault, and there it is, and we'll go ahead and put it into a state that's releasable. And once that's done, we'll, similar fashion, use an add-in just to let CLOVER know that the file is there and needs to be sent to Propel. And that's just through, again, a right-click menu action. So here we go. Let's go ahead and send the file over. Now note, I didn't do any magic to connect the speaker file to the original speaker SolidWorks part file. CLOVER's doing all that work. So as we look at the job, CLOVER gets an event message saying, hey, this happened. It will go determine what that relationship is, find the parent, create all the appropriate content, create the relationship, and then pass it downstream to Design Hub. So if I go here, I can see I've got a new import session, 83, and the IGES file has been passed along. I think we'll show the relationship as well. Yep. So the original part number of speaker was 178. We go look at that item number in Propel and look at the files. You can see that the updated file list includes the IGES file.